Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna make this a quick review of The Boys season 4, episode 8. This was peak Boys. Honestly, this is like one of those episodes that remind you why you watch The Boys. I mean, the episodes before this were okay. There were some that were pretty good, but for the most part, this season was the weaker of the four seasons. But they kind of made it up a little bit with this episode. This episode was a perfect 10 out of 10. I loved every character in this episode except for Sage, just because Sage was kind of just like shimmied in there at the last minute. It didn't really make sense for her character to appear at the last minute, like, ta-da, it was all me, it was all part of my plan. Personally, to me, I thought that was a little bit lazy. I did like at the end scene where Starlight lift, flew like Iron Man for the first time. Like she actually flew. She wasn't just hovering, and she didn't struggle either. Like that was like instant, like a 1-2. Like I think the first sequence when she took off, she was kind of like flailing her limbs a little bit, but then she got the hang of it, and then she just took off completely. What bothered me is like why did Cindy take so long to try to kill her? I don't know why. Usually, we saw her in like season 2, and she basically killed that guard in like less than 2 seconds. I don't know why it took her so long with Starlight. I think that's just kind of like a cliche trope that a lot of shows do, where they kind of they play out like certain scenes a little too long, so now it's a little bit unbelievable. But nevertheless, Starlight was a pretty good character this episode, except for the part where she. I know that Starlight's like a self-righteous character, but I guess she was pissed off that Huey got R-worded during the episode. That just didn't really sit right with me. Like Huey didn't really have that much of a choice. Like even if he knew that you weren't Starlight, I feel like if he would try to confront the shapeshifter about it, that she would have killed him instantly. We already can see how good of a fighter she is with the Secret Service agents over there. When she was with the president, she broke a guy's back for crying out loud. She almost killed Huey twice, and that's when he was around the other boys when he figured it out too. So, and even Kamiko couldn't protect him. So there was nothing that he could have done. Like she would have killed him if he confronted her about it. So I would give the guy a break. I know that she kind of came around a couple minutes after that scene, but then she also followed up by saying like you need to get an STD test or yada yada yada. But she didn't like console him. Like you were basically just catfished by a soup, and I don't know. I think she was like really callous this season. She didn't really care for Huey that much. It was all kind of like I guess she has like depression or whatever, but Huey's still your boyfriend. You should at least give a damn, at least a little bit. Um, just didn't really. I guess this was like so out of her character. I think like personality wise, I think they aged her up a lot. In a sense of she's a lot more bitter now. Like she doesn't really like she's a part of the boys, but I feel like there's some scenes where I feel like she cares more about Kimiko than Huey. She just doesn't really. I feel like she cares for him in like a very professional sense, but when it comes to a personal sense, I feel like if Huey dies, I feel like she wouldn't have that much of an effect on her. Like I feel like she will quickly forget about it and move on. I don't know why. She's just so emotionally distant, even though she does have depression. Still, it's like he was about to be killed like almost every episode. You can pretend at least to give a damn at least once per the season, and don't go in the comments saying that she cared when Huey told her what happened at Tech Knight's party or whatever, because that was like a little hug and then that was it. There wasn't really much. That was kind of basic, but. And no offense, I feel like Starlight shouldn't have sent Huey down there to begin with because he doesn't have any super abilities. He can't defend himself, and there's a high chance that he could die. I feel like Huey does have a lot of plot armor, and I think they take that for granted. Like he's always going to be unharmed, when in fact he always does get harmed in these episodes. They just don't outright kill him. They kind of just torture him, or put him through hell, or put him in a position that makes it impossible for him to almost defend himself by himself. If that makes any sense. Anyway, Firecracker gets treated like basically Homelander's. I think she thought that she was gonna be Homelander's new bae, but instead she's like his personal cow. Yeah, all she does is like pump milk for him, and in this episode she's like really sick. Now, at first when she came on, I thought she contracted the soup virus. that turns out not to be the case. Apparently, like the drugs that she takes makes her heart a little bit bigger, and that's having like negative side effects to her health. So now she is coughing all over the place. And the funny thing was with Homelander in this episode is that he is so disgusted by her, he tells her to move like 2 seats down. Basically saying, like, you don't mean anything to me. You're disgusting. And I'm only using you for your breast milk. Like, it's just, it's weird. I mean, it's iconic Homelander. But you can just see how, like, feeble and sick she is. And the fact that, like, you're a soup and you can't even catch whatever the heck she has. But it's just the fact that she's coughing on you is what bothers you, not the fact that she's literally dying in front of your eyes and you can't seem to care. And I think it's a little bit even more pitiful when she tries to chase down one of the employees down the hallway and she looks like she's about to just completely collapse and die. I thought she was going to be the person who dies this episode, but apparently not. I guess I don't know why they're going to stretch out to season 5. I feel like that's kind of cruel for her character. But anyway, speaking of cruel, we got to move on to Ashley because Ashley was with her eavesdropping skills found out that she's on the chopping block for employee executions and she she kind of kicks it out of there. She goes into Homelander's bedroom and tries to like give herself Compound V finally. I don't know why she didn't do it before when A Train was getting Compound V. Like I feel like that would have been a perfect time to take it. I feel like the perfect time to leave was with A Train last episode, and I was wrong. Apparently, she's not trying to help the other employees escape. In fact, she was just waiting for like the very last minute to save herself. I don't know why she did that. It honestly doesn't really make sense for her to stay longer than she had to. And A Train was her, not to sound funny, but her train ticket out of here. And, Train left the station without her and she just missed it. She just left behind for no reason. Anyway, we're going to see her powers and what her powers are going to be next season. I have a theory. I think it's going to be some like Medusa hair kind of dominatrix esque sort of ability. We saw that like the compound V was affecting her skull a lot, to the point where it's like morphing into like different shapes. But we don't really get to see what happens after she left Homelander's room. And even when Homelander goes back into his room, she's no longer there. So I think she has some type of ability of flight, or maybe I don't think teleportation. Maybe teleportation too, because she did want to go to Florence, Italy. So maybe she did teleport there. I don't know. I don't know. I hope she's one of the stronger suits. I feel like she would have to be the stronger suit. I think a lot of the Compound V power that they give you has to tie with your insecurities and basically your psyche overall. Um, and that's why they probably prefer to give it to babies because babies don't really have a sense of self yet to have all these insecurities. And the older you are, the more complex your thoughts are going to be. So it's like the results are just going to be a lot more insane when you're an adult versus when you're a child. Um, like I said, I gotta get Tech Knight off this thumbnail, but because he's dead. But Huey this episode, I kind of feel bad for Huey because the shapeshifter almost seemed like a better girlfriend than Starlight. Honestly, she showed him a lot more affection. Now, honestly, I can kind of understand why he didn't like. I think he honestly knew that it wasn't Starlight, but I think that he probably just wanted to live in the luxury of his relationship a little bit longer with the shapeshifter, just so he can enjoy some actual emotional attention from what could have been his girlfriend. But I think yeah, he's been neglected and abused this entire season. Honestly, this entire series, if you really want to keep it 100. Um, yeah, I feel so bad for Hugh. I think he's gonna have his final breaking point in season 5, and he's just gonna snap and just start killing people mercilessly because he seems to care less and less. Even at the end of season what you call it, season 4, when Butcher killed Newman, and that was a crazy scene by itself. I didn't realize Butcher was just gonna be cold blood like that and just kill her. Like I thought she was gonna at least have like a fight scene with him or something, but no, like he just straight up just Mortal Kombat's her in front of her daughter and knocks her daughter out at the same time, and no one does anything. But like then again, Starlight doesn't have her powers, and Kimiko has to do hand to hand, but she can't do hand to hand with Butcher because he has those crazy tentacle things. Um, Frenchie didn't do anything. I feel like he could have just took the opportunity to shoot him a little bit, but I don't know. I get it. He caught you off guard. But anyway, going with Huey, the look in Huey's face when he does kill Newman, because Huey did ask Butcher to trust him, and you can see like the sense of betrayal on his face, and he's kind of just like fed up with being betrayed and abused and cast to the sidelines. And I think something in that moment kind of did snap for Huey. I feel like he's gonna definitely change in the next season, especially being separated from Starlight. I think Starlight's also going to have a breaking point in the next season because now she's separated from Huey and she doesn't know if he's alive or dead at this point. Hopefully, she does find Butcher and they can team up. I would love to see Starlight and Butcher as a team up. I feel like they'll be very powerful yin and yang. We kind of saw them team up to save Huey in season two when he was impaled by like that piece of shrapnel. And that was a pretty good pairing up with I think they do I think Butcher and Starlight they don't like each other but they respect each other and what they bring to the team and just their overall demeanor. I think they the more the seasons go on they start to understand each other a little bit more and more. Even I think Butcher like hates Starlight because he wants to be like Starlight, but he can't because he's seen too much. And I think Starlight wants to be more like Butcher, where she doesn't care as much and she's able to do what needs to be done. And I think both of them scare each other in a sense. Like I can't afford to care about this other person nearly as much as I care about anyone else because they represent a part of me that I will never be able that I probably was, but then I lost early on, or a part of me that I will never be able to have again. Um, yeah, and then Newman died. Like I said, I already covered Newman, so that doesn't really make any sense. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much. Oh yeah, and Kamiko said her first words. She said she was screaming no when they kidnapped Frenchie, and I thought that she would have a better fight scene with what's his name, Sam. But like her punches doesn't really do anything. I think for some reason they kind of like in terms of power scaling, they kind of scaled her down a bit this season. Like she's not as powerful. Like she couldn't be the shapeshifter. Starlight could beat the shapeshifter. She couldn't do anything to Sam, but Starlight didn't fight Sam. But I think her power. I think Starlight's powers are going to grow a lot more throughout this season. Where it's I think next season she's going to be able to, if not fight Homelander, I think she's able to hold her own for a minute with Homelander. I feel like she might be able to take on Soldier Boy. I would love to see her go against Soldier Boy again just to see how far she improved since last season. Because last season her power up was garbage. Like it didn't really do much besides give her the ability to flight. And I want to talk about that too because in that scene she was amped up by the power around the building and she was in the city. She had nothing but energy surrounding her, and she was only able to do that little bit of damage. But in this season, she had, I guess, since Huey wrecked the car, so she can't use that for electricity. The boat doesn't have any electricity, but the van probably did have some electricity. But apparently, that was enough electricity. And we don't even see the car flicker at all. So I think she channels the power within that. I think she has the power to channel power from any source at this point, and use it to her advantage. Like she was in the middle of nowhere, and we see in season two that when she was in the middle of nowhere, she couldn't cauterize Huey's wound because she said that I need to be around electrical outlets or whatever sources to amp up my powers. But apparently, she had more than enough on her own to fly away instantly. And now it wasn't like she was just going. It wasn't like she was flying low to the terrain. Like she was flying up into the stratosphere. So she, at this point, you have no source of energy, and you have enough fuel to get you back home, basically. Which I love, and I really do hope this character has a huge power up because I feel like she's like the only suit that we actually see progress over time with her abilities and actually pushes herself to do more and more. Um, I really do. I think Starlight was always a decent superhero. I think she was like a B tier soup, but now I feel like she's A tier at this point. Like she's definitely A tier. I think Cindy is S tier. Like she's just way too powerful. I think Starlight could overpower her at some point, but good luck, Charlie, because Cindy's pretty tough. I think the only person who took her down was Stormfront with electricity. So maybe Starlight can do something like that. Maybe she can channel other sources of power other than electricity. Like she can probably like instead of having her hands to her delight, she can probably like manipulate Stormfront's powers or manipulate Homelander's heat rays or something like that. I would love to see that happen in season five. But anyway, I would give this show a 10 out of 10 for this season finale. The season as a whole, I would probably give like a definite 7.5 out of 10. It was okay. It was pretty good, but I think the first three episodes could have been rewritten a little bit better. Especially knowing what we know now, they could have definitely did something better with the first three episodes. Think they were setting up the groundwork. Like I said, I think this season is going to be like one of those seasons that builds up into the next season. So I think season five is going to be like the ultimate boy season. I think it's going to be the best boy season we're going to get. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and comments below.